Is somebody there? Oh, it's only another person. What brings you into the forest? You, you're the royal heir. Oh, it's about time you look for a suitor. Well, why exactly would that be causing you such strife? I've had difficulty with something similar recently myself. I've had plenty of time to see the world and think about my decision. I've decided that I shouldn't be limited only to those who live in the same area I live. You know, I like you. I think I'd like to get to know you a little bit more. I think first I'd like to get to know your name. I'm not from these parts, so I'm unfamiliar with the royal family of this kingdom. So, what is your name? You have a lovely name. Or, rather, you had one. Unfortunately, that name is no longer your own. It belongs to me now. And because your name is mine, you are now mine as well. Now that I have your name, I suppose I have as much control over you as I wish. I could make you reject humanity altogether and take you away from here, never to return. I want to make you never want to be apart from me for as long as you live. Oh, did I forget to mention that? Yes, I am royalty too. Just like you, I am next in line to take the throne. So I have decided that I will take you as mine. Yeah, I suppose you could say I'm proposing to you. Would you be a dear and escort me back to your home? I'd love to meet my future family. There you are, Your Highness. Everyone's looked all over the castle grounds for you. But I guess nobody thought to look in the library. That's what you were hoping for, wasn't it? Why am I here? My, that's such a silly question, Your Highness. You know exactly why I'm here. I wanted to speak to you. You've hardly been alone since that incident in the forest, so I haven't really gotten a chance to speak to you about your engagement. Yes, I suppose I did wish to scold you a bit, but could you blame me? Your Highness, you snuck away from your attendant and wandered into the forest. No, I'm not saying you can't wander into the forest whenever you please, but you shouldn't be going alone. Haven't I warned you about the dangers of wandering into the forest alone? Don't think I'm saying these things simply to scold you for not listening to me. It isn't like that at all. Your Highness, I was startled the day you returned to the castle arm in arm with the future Fey monarch. I was afraid that you were under their control. Yes, I am well aware that you are technically under their control, but what I meant was I was afraid we'd lost you. That the person who left the forest wasn't the same who entered. And I've spent this past month thinking about it. I know it didn't happen, but it easily could have. I mean, if you surrendered control of your body to them, or had been replaced by a fairy, I don't think I could have just stood by and watched the thing that wasn't you take your place. Yes, I, I know, but the idea haunts me. Every time I see those eyes, I think about what they could have done to you. Could I be so bold as to ask you a question, Your Highness? Well, I was wondering, what made them choose to marry you to begin with? Did they say anything that could explain it? They said that. Love at first sight. Wow, Your Highness. I didn't know you had such a way with people that even an otherworldly creature could fall in love with you at a glance. But I don't like the idea of you being betrothed to a fairy of all things. Especially not one that got their way because they tricked you. I think maybe if things had been a little different, the idea of it wouldn't be so bad. But the fact nobody in this castle protests this union is, well, to be frank, it's an outrage. That's exactly it. It feels strange that they're not hesitating to give you up to what could possibly be a dangerous creature. I mean, I understand that this is probably the first time anyone in these parts has seen a fairy in decades, but do they not remember the stories? Oh, you didn't you know? Fairies haven't been spotted in this area in a long time. I believe it was due to some agreement that was made back then. Did your fiance happen to tell you where they came from? Only from a faraway place. That is rather vague, but that does at least mean it couldn't be the same faction. Hmm? How do I know all of this when it seems like nobody else does? Well, it's just that I have an interest in all those otherworldly creatures. All those times when you'd hide away in here reading about other worlds, I was spending my time reading about the creatures that live there, and the ones that live in our world. Why am I afraid of the fairy you've gotten yourself involved with if I know so much? I didn't say I was afraid of the fairy. You're putting words in my mouth again. I said that I was afraid that they could have done something to you. I do, however, greatly dislike their presence here. What do I want to do about it? My, to ask such a question. I intend to work with you so that we can free you from that fairy ourselves. Since your parents aren't stopping this, and the guards aren't stopping this, it seems it falls onto our hands. Oh, um, I. My apologies, Your Highness. You're right. I didn't ask you what you wanted to do about the situation. It's just that you don't seem really enthused about marrying a creature that tricked you. So then, what is it that you want to do? You want to get to know them naturally. So, you would entertain the notion of marrying one of the Fae, even if that meant you could never return. Did you did you not know? Once you marry, there is a chance you will never be able to return to the mortal realm. In that circumstance, you would be confined to the fairy realm for the rest of your days. Can the Fae live in the mortal realm? Hmm. Well, I've never heard of such a thing happening. If it's happened before, it was never recorded in any of the books in this library.
Regardless, if it is a choice that you would need to be, it's a choice that you need to be absolutely certain of, Your Highness. I cannot make that choice for you, and I wouldn't want to. All I can do is trust that you know what you're doing, even if you did do this to yourself. Hey, I'm not scolding you, Your Highness, but you can't act like this dilemma wasn't caused by your own lack of caution. Well, I can't say whether or not you made a mistake back then. After all, you were just answering a question. If I hadn't seen those large wings for myself, I don't think I would have known either. And as you have stated, they did hide their wings, and I can't blame you for thinking you were speaking to a human, especially when the town wasn't too far away. What what do you mean? How could you have wanted this? The courting traditions. That's what's bothering you. Your Highness, you should have told me. If finding a suitor was troubling you, I would have helped you convince your parents to let you go about things in a non traditional manner. Yes, I suppose you have done that, haven't you? But how do you feel about your fiance? That's true. They don't seem to be inherently malicious. If anything, they've been treating the castle staff with compassion and respect. They don't treat you cruelly when you're alone, do they? Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. Though I have noticed that it's become rarer and rarer for the two of us to speak like this. For you to be alone at all, actually. It's almost like they're keeping you all to themselves. You think so? Then do you enjoy having all that affection? Don't look down like that. You get embarrassed so easily, Your Highness. But that's why it's so fun to tease you. It's okay if you like all the attention they're giving you. Some people like that sort of thing. But, I've been wondering something. Since you said you would have preferred to meet in a more natural way, yes, I was wondering if you think you'd ever be able to fall in love with them. I mean, if you had more time to get to know them. Do you think so? Not sure. Well, that makes sense. You just have to give yourself some time, and the two of you need to talk about things. Try to get them to talk more about themselves and where they come from. I think if you give it time, and you do decide that you want to go through with this marriage, I'll support you. Yes, I will support you whatever your decision is. I may be your servant, but I am your friend first. I just want you to have the best chance of happiness in life. Hey, are you alright? You look like you're going to pass out. You, you think they're calling you? Ah, must be the magic control they have over you. That is some powerful magic. Well then, I suppose I'll alert the castle staff to not disturb you while you're with your betrothed. I hope we can talk like this together again soon, Your Highness. Now, wrong along. I don't think it would be wise to keep them waiting for much longer.